Okay, I've started the stream back up again.
All right.
Sorry about that. Like the thing that I was worried about happening right in the middle of the tournament happened like right at the end of the tournament. So fortunately, like nothing actually bad happened. So I fixed the sound. I've taken off the delay as well. So. So we won't have any delay for the next portion of SmackDown, but fortunately my mic was able to stay alive for the entirety of the stream. What's going on then? Just trying to figure out what we're going to be doing here next. Would you like to do a Sunday troll down BO3 only troll bills? I don't know. Just trying to figure out. Originally, we had planned to do some 2v2 casting. 1, 2. Also,
I think the problem with a Sunday troll down would be that some troll strategies are more and less trolled than others.
yeah. Like, how do you define a troll strategy, right? Like,
we already... I don't know.
let me take out my... Okay, so it looks like we are going to try the 2v2. Going back to the glory days of AoE 3 casting, where we casted with no UI. That'll be
With the post game, we have to get back. It was doable because of the post game, but it was just awkward. Like half the time, you'd spend like maybe a third of, or even up to a half of the game, like looking at graphs and not the game.
Age of Empires 3. It's data, and what's it called again? It's like UI main or something. And
UI main new.
Date modified. Is it in the My Games Age of Empires 3, or is it in the install directory?
It's in the install.
I always forget. X86. Ooh, there it was, Microsoft Games. Age of Empires 3.
Data.
You can do it, Zuta. UI main new.xml.
Have you looked through that, by the way, that file?
No, I haven't, I guess.
It's quite the file.
Start up my patch launcher.
I've got to see this on stream. There's the glory. Oh wow, that background's so cool. I said that before.
It is. It's really sick. PF2K. Or no, I think I just found this one, like just searching, like randomly.
I was gonna say, I thought you were about to say PF2K drew this, and I was like, holy crap, that guy's talented.
Like, he's done a lot of the artwork stuff for me, and I think I think this was like one of the files he used for the like splash screen that I have, and it's like the raw art or whatever, and then he like photoshopped it some. Amazon, yeah, 2v2 ops. Oh, okay. Hopefully it's not actually Amazon 2v2 ops.
I find it unlikely.
Yes. A little bit of Amazon. A little bit of Amazonia. I've got so many like random windows open here. I got a random Reddit page open. I'm gonna close that. Close this. Close Google Hangouts. Okay. Okay. I think I'm ready.
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
An FFA OBS map. That would be interesting.
No, it wouldn't. I'm just gonna cut you off. I've tried so hard to make Free For All interesting. I went through about a month of making a map specifically designed to make Free For All Like the problem with free for all is everybody like the best strategy is to not fight anyone, is because it wastes your own resources because you're engaging in a fight and makes you less able to defend, and it also pisses people off and they come back to bite you in the ass. So the optimal thing to do is to sit there and do nothing, and it really isn't very interesting to watch. I think if you were to make free for all interesting, you'd have to set a bunch of like goals. You'd have to tell people you get a point for killing your opponent's town center. You get a point for being the first person to the fortress age. You get a point for collecting the most wood throughout the duration of the game, or some, all these little things. And after the game ends, like whoever has the most points is the winner. I think then it would become interesting.
Yeah, because otherwise it's way too easy to just like take French, sit in your little ball, and wait until you have like instant curs and just instant curs all over the map, right?
Yep. I made a map that was very small, had 6 players on it, and had very few resources, and had resources that respawned every 5 minutes, like only a few. So if you wanted to stay in the game, you would have to take somebody out so that you could capture their respawning resources. And the game, it was interesting, because it became about timings, like having an army ready to push out when the resources respawned to capture the I don't know, like the map had potential, but it was rather difficult to balance because the best civs suddenly became Dutch and Ottoman, which like generate resources out of nowhere because banks just like create coin that doesn't exist, and Ottoman villages don't cost any resources and train for free. So civs that got like bonus resources that are just generated from thin air seem to be really good on my map. But I don't know. I might go back and finish that. Wait, how does this work? Do we have to play on team what?
I don't know. Team question mark until they tell me. One other thing. Have you ever played the map Draw?
Draw? What?
Draw. It's like a custom map called Draw.
No, what is it?
So it's basically like this, a very small map, and it's kind of like a scenario. A bunch of people, like all... oh, someone's messaging me. Cast good research. It's like this very small map where you start with unlimited resources, and it's like a 1v1, and you have a villager who builds stuff really fast, and so he just like, you start with a single villager each, and they're just facing each other, and he builds stuff really fast, and units train really fast, and you have infinite resources, and so you just like start building barracks and stables and stuff, and the goal is to kill the other person's villager, and when you kill the other person's villager, you win the round, and then there's a bunch of rounds, and because there's like, you have like 6 players in it, you just like keep going, and like once you've lost 3 times, then you're eliminated, and you just keep playing like these like cross players, like starting with a villager, going against each other, just round and round in circles until everyone's villagers have died like 3 times. It's actually like pretty fun. We used to play it all the time back in like...
Yeah, no, that does sound... I made a similar map, actually, myself. It never took off. It was never in something interesting, but I had the idea that you start with an explorer and that's it, and infinite resources. And everything happened instantly. Not quite the villager. I called it Interjections No Limits. Me and my friend played it together for a while.
Interjections No Limits.
Yeah, I don't know. Draw sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I think I have a copy of it somewhere. But yeah, it is pretty fun. It's like...
Have you played Schnilligamma? It's something Azamp made. It's not competitive, really. You have a unit that keeps, like... You have this, like... It keeps transforming into a different unit every 5 seconds. Like, just any random unit in the game. Like, 1 second it's a rock. The next second it's this, like, campaign unit with 500 hand attack. Next moment it's, like, a deer. And the goal is to be the last guy standing with a random unit that keeps changing every 5 seconds.
I think I've heard of that, or something similar to that.
Yeah, it was based on like I forget what it was called, but that was fun.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you turn into a treasure guardian building, and then you could repair yourself for free. Or sometimes you turn into a deer, and your opponent would shoot you because he's a villager or something ridiculous.
Like, you just die instantly. All right. Well, it looks like we're just waiting for Sam, who is taking one of the classical Samwise breaks.
Oh, there's a mosquito up in my face. It's a bit like those sours versus the Jaegers. Ugh, I hate mosquitoes.
It's all up in your grill.
Real grill confirmed. Oh, and casters split teams. Well, I'm going on the same team as I'm taking H2O's team. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you can do it. I'll go team 2. Ryan just sent me an inappropriate GIF, and I clicked it and opened it, and I opened on my other screen, and then he said, "Very important, off stream probably."
I want a third monitor.
I have 3 monitors at work, which is like really nice.
What do you do with the third monitor? I only need it for when I'm streaming. A third monitor would be nice.
Yeah, I put like whatever my main work is on my main monitor, and then like on the right hand side you have like your screen for like doing like internet and like internet basically just as your internet browser, because you like need to do a bunch of stuff like on the internet, and I use my left hand screen is like my my communication workstation. So like if I need to have like email and like Skype and Google Hangouts, like all the stuff that I would need for communication stuff on the left hand side.
Oh yeah.
Basically like main screen to do like whatever your work is. Right screen is like your notepad where you can just like be jotting notes and looking up stuff in the internet and doing stuff like that. And the left side is like just general communication stuff. Probably do Zuta team 1 to be safe. Okay, so I guess you need to go team 2. Apparently I need to be on team 1 to be safe.
Alright, safe.
I'm gonna be pink. No, cyan? No, pink. We'll be pink and purple.
Alright.
You have an account called purple _. I should make an account called pink _.
I do have an account purple
and we
underscore.
can we can cast as pink and purple, and we'll be those 2 colors.
Alright.
I think that.
I wonder if anyone has the account Japan. They do. It's a conscript that's never logged in.
The account pink _ does not exist.
Does it not? Pink what about just straight up pink? Yeah, I wanted the account straight up purple, but didn't get it. Do you know, the story behind me always playing as purple is I played a team game once, and I was purple. Just happened to be purple. Then we played a game with the same teams, and we were like, yeah, take the same colors as last time so we know who each other is. So we did. And then it happened again. And then I just played with those people a lot, and I just played as, like, everyone knew me as Purple. Like, that was my name. Like, they didn't take note of my actual ESO name, which back in the day was not Interjection.
Right.
But it's Purple stuck.
Purple.
My current account is permanently banned at the moment, my very first one.
Oh. Were you a naughty boy?
No, I was not. I'll tell you what happened. My friend came round to my house to play Age of Empires with me. And we met this guy playing a team game, and he thought it'd be a good idea to message this guy on my account whilst I was getting a drink or something. My laptop was just to the side of him, so he messaged this guy on both accounts, like at the same time, being all cool, like, "Hey, I've got 2 accounts." Got a ban for account trading. Like, he was next to me. That was not what happened.
Such is life.
Yeah. So he lost his account and all of his Smurfs because they are attached to the same email. And
bad luck, dude.
yeah, full wrecked.
All right. Well, it looks like we're just waiting for the Lord Raphael. It looks like he BRB toilet. Hopefully he did not fall in. Oh. That's the classic team gameplay. Everybody's clicked in, you're ready to go. Boom, slams down a different civ.
Or is that like, I love it when everyone's greened up and somebody ungreens or something, and you don't know who it was, or it changes civ but to the same civ and you have no idea who did it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a team game Smackdown, sort of. This is not the regular sort of Smackdown. Traditionally has always been 1v1. We have a 2v2 on Silk Road by the looks of it. Do not have a UI. for this map, and we also, wow, this is real old school. Look at that. You abandoned your colony.
Oh, do you have that? Apparently I don't. I don't have. Fortunately, I don't have that on.
Did
screen.
you just did you remove that from the sort of in-game? There's like a string table that has all.
I probably did ages ago, and like I just haven't like reinstalled the game since then, right? And so
I see. Yeah, you can change that to anything.
Yeah.
I changed it like you are victorious to like GG YOLO swag you what or something like that once. So when I won, it gave me that message instead of you are victorious. But yeah, I have you abandoned my colony on my screen.
That's super old school. That's like ghetto caster days. I'm like way
and no
back
UI. So about a third of this commentary is going to be us looking at graphs on the post, which we haven't done in a while. So we might not do it too much because we forget that it exists. But
just scratching your head like wondering like what the hell's going on, and like just focusing on someone's town center, waiting to see whether or not 700 coin ever appears or something like that.
And we're gonna miss loads because there's no way. There's no like list of shipments which have been sent.
We'll try our best.
Yeah, we will. Spawning in the north of the map, we do have Team BadSpeed, consisting of BadSpeed in the colour cyan, laying down a house, fire pit, and market. Clearly a 300 wood start. Gonna be pretty happy about that. His teammate, LordRaphael, spawning slightly below him here in the colour yellow. Playing as the French, has a house and a market, and no dog. He has hunting. No dog. He has the doubt upgrade. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. All right. So the sound for the map, we do have Team Samwise12, consisting of Samwise12 in the color blue, playing as the French, as always.
Oh, interesting. I can see their pings. Like I just saw Sam flare the map.
You're on the same team. That would make sense.
Yeah. He just flared the 90 wood treasure that's over here on the left hand side of the map. I'm not actually going to flare it just because I wonder like.
Well, I can't see it anyway. I'm on the other team.
Yeah, that's true. So it makes no difference whether or not I flare it. But
well, to be fair, they can't see it. You're resigned.
Oh yeah. I is that how it works? Like I don't actually know. I'm not going to do it because I don't actually know.
Yeah, you can't chat to them either because you're out. We're so used to being able to chat. When the obs first came about, one of the biggest things like make sure they can't chat to each other. But now, like, I don't know. Anyway, what's going on in this game?
So it is important to note the civilizations, as I did kind of allude to early in the game, or earlier before we started the game, that oftentimes in team games, the most influential thing over what is actually going to happen is team composition. And so fortunately for this game, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, it is a mirror. So we do have a French player spawning in the right side of the map, and we have a French player spawning in the upper left side of the map, with LordRaphael and Samwise12. And then we have our Aztec players being played by BadSpeed and H2O spawning in the north and south portions of the map. So it is a mirror, and we'll have to see, generally in team games, playing aggressive with a combined forward base, just because you can kind of split up your opponents, is a little bit stronger. It's fairly common to see players forward basing together in the middle portions of the map and then trying to isolate out one player depending on their civilization, whether or not they think that they're weaker. I did see Sam just flare in the middle of the map, which I assume is going to mean that that's where he wants to have a forward base. We can see H2O is moving 2 villagers across the middle of the map, going to drop down the war hut. And it looks like they are going to be doing just that. And similarly, we do see that BadSpeed is sending a villager out towards the middle portion of the map.
He flared this hunt, actually, that he's getting now, and said that is where he wanted to put his forward base. So clearly expecting pressure if he wants to play so defensively.
Yeah, and we can see it has been scouted out by BadSpeed as well. He does see the war hut coming up for his opponent, so it's certainly going to be having full knowledge of that going down. And so they're going to know that their opponents are playing aggressively. And we can see Samwise, similarly to H2O, sending villagers out across the map, likely going to be dropping down a stable, because as I mentioned, usually you want to stick to the strength of your civ. And oftentimes French, one of their greatest strengths is cavalry, so likely going to see him dropping down a stable, and I think we'll see LordRaphael drop down a stable as well, and indeed, he does drop down a stable, although it is very, very defensive back in his base, and so as I mentioned, splitting up the players with an aggressive combined forward base can be very beneficial in team games, and we can see that that's exactly what Samwise12 and H2O have elected to do with this combined forward base here in the middle of the map. Whereas LordRaphael and Musket, JR, or BadSpeed I should say, are going to be a little bit more split up. by the looks of things. So we'll have to see how that influences the game and whether or not these first Coyote runners from H2O are going to cause some serious problems as a result of that split.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it maybe can pick up a few villager kills, see what he can do. But I think it's interesting the dynamic of splitting up players, as you've been mentioning. In Age of Empires 2, it functions very differently, where in a 2v2, it's often really played out as two 1v1s. I think because the map is a lot bigger, and in a 3v3 you have sort of this pocket player who has a different role entirely to the other players. But in Age of Empires 3 team games, people like to forward base together, which is interesting and worth noting.
Yeah, and I think we see that a little bit more just because of the shipment mechanic in this game. It's really easy to pull together a lot of units really quickly versus those other games like you mentioned. It's hard to get out like this sudden influx of units to like really apply a lot of combined pressure together at the same time. So that definitely plays a role in it, and we can see now both Aztec players with a fairly decent number of Coyotes out on the map, and both French players also electing to make a handful of Hussar here as well. And we can see both players for the red and blue team grouping up their units, trying to stay together, and it looks like they are now going to start to apply some pressure here to the War Hut as well.
Yeah, I've turned my friend info collars on because it's hard for me to work out who's on what team. I'm that way inclined. But yeah, red, never mind.
Yeah, there is a pretty decent fight going on here as well. Looks like it's going fairly well for the blue team. For Team Samwise, we can see reinforcing units coming in here from Sam and H2O. But in the same regard, we do have units coming in for LordRaphael as well. But I don't know that it's necessarily going to be enough. Still quite a few Coyote Runner Knights left alive for H2O. And as a result of that, looks like they're going to be able to clean this fight up. But LordRaphael, well, I don't know. It looks like they're actually able to clean it up and push back some of the pressure here a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the fight, but then I realized if I start saying red's doing this, no one can... And like the other team for me is all yellow, so it's not really going to make a huge amount of sense. So I stopped. I confused myself there. I think I'm going to have to use the regular colors.
I could put on my friend info colors, and then every time you say red, everyone knows that it means blue, and whenever you say blue, it means red. Because that would
we'll do it separately.
That wouldn't be confusing at all.
Yeah. Never mind. We'll just roll with it.
But it looks like during all of that, H2O did send 10 Mace Holton as his next card. And I haven't seen any sort of upgrade card sent from Sam yet for his Cav. Generally, upgrade cards very good. So we'll look to see whether or not he sends something like Huss HP or Team Cavalry Hand Attack at some point very early in this game. But looks like for the time being, having just opted for fairly generic shipments like likely 700 wood for CDB and the likes of those. Just continuing to power up his economy, likely getting very good upgrades from the market. Certainly has steel traps by this point in the game. And we can see H2O has a decent swell of units here himself. So things looking fairly even. And we'll have to see whether or not a first early upgrade card for one of the French players is really the tipping point for whether or not we see that player start to play a little bit more aggressively. Big push coming in here, though. Lots of cavalry units from both sides. Decent positioning for LordRaphael with his cav. Looks like he's going to be able to deal with these coyotes. Both coyotes engaging. We do have some sneaky pumas coming in here for H2O. We also do have a couple of Jaguar Prowler Knights working their way in here, going to be able to do a lot of damage. Looks like the Mace trying to focus down the Jags as best they can. Minutemen coming in from the left-hand side. CDB joining the fight as well. And it looks like LordRaphael going to be able to push this back in his base quite effectively. We can see a big swell of cav for him here, pushing their way back, and combined with the Minutemen, combined with the reinforcing batches of units, looks like they're going to be able to stabilize and actually get a pretty nice advantage here. Looks like Sam and H2O maybe overstaying their welcome a little bit. And now take a look at the scores. LordRaphael really pulling ahead, up to almost 100 points in score. Versus the French opponent only at 75 points in score. So certainly a nice little advantage going here for Team BadSpeed as a result.
Ooh, we can take a look at the graphs.
We love the graphs.
So they're not really that meaningful, actually, unless you put team stats on, I think. Villager count very even for both teams at the moment. and all resources gathered. Looks like Sam and H2O are taking a little bit of a lead, but with that convincing win there, I don't think that's hugely interesting.
Yeah, and another thing that did pop up on my UI here was team improved hand cavalry damage has been sent, which means Sam has sent the team cav attack upgrade card that French does.
Wait, you have a UI installed?
No, like in the chat history, in the chat log, right? Like just in the UI, the generic.
Oh, I see. Like your cavalry are now upgraded as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
all of my
dude,
my
I received 3 villages from the Aztec player.
Oh, I wonder what happens to those. Like, I guess they just like don't ever show up because you resigned. But
and we don't have TCs.
Yeah, that's true. But similarly, interestingly enough, H2O has not sent that team card. So the only team card that's been sent from my squad over here is Team Cavalry Attack. And we'll have to see whether or not that plays any influence into the next fight. Just taking a look at scores in military pop, we can see just by sheer numbers the amount of Hussar that LordRaphael currently has out is significantly more than the French opponent Samwise has available to him. Certainly has significantly fewer, but to Sam's card, he does have slightly more attack. Although it looks like your squad has sent that card now as well. We can see LordRaphael does have 34 hand attack on his Hussar. Similarly, Sam has 34 attack on his Hussar. But at the same time, Sam has also sent team cavalry, or not team cavalry, just cavalry hit points. We can see his Hussar do have 368 hit points versus his opponent's Hussar, which only have 320 hit points. So Sam does have all of the upgrades rolling for his Hussar, which are going to be very good. And the other thing we do have to consider is that H2O and Samwise still have this combined base out here in the middle of the map, which is giving them a lot more vision in the middle of the map and a lot more map control. So by the looks of things, Sam has added in a barracks, is going to start training some muskets as well, realizing they're going to need some way to deal with LordRaphael's growing Hussar count. And as a result of that, looks like H2O also trying to mix in a couple Puma Spearmen.
I think, just interestingly enough, looks like BadSpeed saying that he's adding in Coyote Attack and LordRaphael getting his HP upgrade for his cav, and they want to push once the upgrades arrive. I think actually in a position to do that.
Yeah, they certainly look like they have the better composition at this point.
BadSpeed is ready to go. I think that signals go time.
Yeah, look at how many Hussar LordRaphael has. He has just got so many Hussar, and they are so upgraded. It looks like he has his Huss HP card as well. And we can see both teams keeping their units fairly well grouped up, which is going to be very important here to this next fight. Flank coming in from BadSpeed, trying to get wrapped around here to the right-hand side. Don't know that I really like that they're splitting up here, but LordRaphael with his Hussar are going to be very, very strong. We can see the Pumas trying to get into position, trying to be able to do something. Working their way back now to the Coyotes. The Coyotes caught a little bit out of position, and it looks like Sam may be going to be able to try and catch those out. He's got some muskets in melee, and the Pumas as well may be going to be able to try and deal with all of these cav units.
Both armies very separated.
Yeah, it looks like Sam's just going to swing out here and start dealing with BadSpeed, whereas H2O is going to work his way in here against LordRaphael. The unfortunate thing for Team Raphael BadSpeed is they don't have any anti-cavalry right now, and so as a result of that, the high anti-cavalry numbers working in here for the red and blue team is going to make just the absolute huge amount of cavalry that LordRaphael and Musketeer have a little bit less effective, and we can see, just look at how effective of a fight that was for H2O with all those Pumas able to cut through all of those Hussar, and now going to be able to start applying some raiding pressure. And similarly over here to the right hand side, Samwise getting a very nice exchange with some of those melee muskets as well, being able to deal a lot of damage to the Coyotes. And now we run into a situation where LordRaphael has lost all of his cavalry mass. All of his villagers are trapped inside of the town center, and things are starting to look really, really poor for him. Bit caught out of position. A crossbows do arrive, which is going to help. A couple Hussars also raiding back near H2O's base, but I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. And now, as it were, well, I guess there's a, BadSpeed's economy must be just lights out at this point. He's got, by the looks of things, full 10 warrior priest dancing around his fire pit. He's got really strong upgrades from, you know, like the team hand attack card and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's going to be enough to carry the fact that his opponents really just have this huge swell of units. It's going to be really tough, I feel like. LordRaphael is adding in as many units as he can here to try and help, but unfortunately I don't know that it's going to be enough. Looks like H2O just going to be able to kind of fight here in the middle of the map, cleaning things up. Although, that being said, LordRaphael, with his crossbowman, is doing a pretty good job of contributing as well, so things are... things are like actually like pretty much bang on even here at this point, I guess. Everything looking fairly even, and this is the point where it would be really nice to know whether or not someone was trying to age, right? Like this is the point where I feel like someone is probably trying to age, but we don't really know.
No, but what we do see is a raid coming in. There's a lot of Samwise's villagers exposed sort of on the top north right-hand side of the map. And I see, you know, actually, it just flares it, actually. All units going on the way. All systems go. That's a lot of CDB to lose.
Oh, man, if he loses all those CDB to these coyotes, like he's likely going to, that's going to be really harsh on his economy. Yeah, it's going to be tough. He's losing a lot of vills here, and as a result, we'll have to see whether or not they can put on a little bit of timing pressure. Looks like LordRaphael has started gathering from the berries as well, so he's not even really risking going out here. And this is the point where if you can control the map and you can control the remaining hunts, the remaining safe hunts, the remaining coin mines, especially with so many cavalry units and so many upgraded cavalry units moving around the map, it's going to be very beneficial to you. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be possible with how many you know, cavalry units. Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, just look at the sheer number of cav units still out on the map here for Musket JR versus Samwise and H2O, who have both primarily transferred back into infantry-based armies. We can see Sam's got a lot of muskets. H2O's got a lot of Puma Spearmen. And looks like maybe H2O just going to go here for a Rambo play here with his Puma Spearman, going to pick up his War Chief and just going to pop his way back into LordRaphael's base, try and make something happen. Maybe even just go straight for the town center. No, looks like he's going to pick up some houses.
Pick up some, just go straight for the TC, you know. Yeah, they're going to play it safe, going to knock down some houses, and should be able to, quite convincingly here, with, you know, everybody at his army away from home and not really anything to stop him here. Going to pick up quite a lot of houses, and they really need this as a team to make something happen, being 20 villagers down at this point. And the longer this game goes on, it's going to be tougher and tougher as their opponents are able to sort of outmass them with just more resources coming into the bank.
Yeah, but we can see that as a result of this big timing push, we kind of caught out of position where BadSpeed and LordRaphael, their entire army was over here to the right-hand side of the map, and as a result of that, LordRaphael may just straight up lose his town center. Puma Spearmen have an insane siege attack. And with the current number that he has here, this town center is going down very, very quickly. May even lose the stable before the units really get here in a position where they can defend it. And yeah, it looks like the town center is very close to going down. Looks like H2O going to be forced back here into the fight. And now Samwise's muskets collapsing in as well, with really a lack of anti-infantry units here for the blue and yellow team. Going to be a little bit scary to actually deal with this just sheer amount of anti-cav that is presenting itself for Samwise and H2O. Just look at how quickly those Hussar and Coyote just absolutely drop to the Puma Spearmen. Now, the one saving grace here, of course, is that LordRaphael does, for the time being, buy himself a little bit of time on his town center, but with this big reinforcing batch of muskets that Sam has, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be enough in itself. He maybe can just go back over to the town center. We do see LordRaphael is trying to repair the town center, so that will slowly be regaining its hit points, but still a lot of resources that it takes to actually be able to do that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. BadSpeed's still got a very strong economy, but
It does.
I don't know if that's going to be enough. Like, can he pull together enough units to actually deal with this insane mass of muskets that Sam currently has out on the field?
I think the saving grace for the teal and yellow team is they are aware of the fact that the opponent's team has significantly less villages. Raphael actually stating that they don't have any, which well, we know what he means, and hopefully that's what that will, over the course of time, if Musket Junior, sorry, BadSpeed, if BadSpeed, so it's the same player obviously, can stabilize or carry the game. Hopefully, if he can keep his teammate in this long enough for the opponent's lack of villagers to come into play.
Just look at the sheer number of units that Musket Jr. continue is able.
Certainly, Musket Jr. one of the strongest player in the game currently, repping the biggest score, but his ally in dire straits at the moment with tons of units in his base that are really quite difficult to deal with. Musket doing his best. I'm calling him Musket. Whoops. BadSpeed doing his best to repel the pressure, and it does keep the TC up, so that is good.
It keeps his teammates' town center alive, and at the same time, just look at the scores. Sam really can't afford to be losing units like this, and his economy certainly, obviously, it's hard to tell how much raiding damage has been done, but it's significant at this point. And maybe a nice little raid here coming in for Samwise, spotting off a bunch of units from both Raphael and BadSpeed.
Oh yeah, that's not good though. It does get repelled by a couple of Puma Spearmen, but there's a lot of villages in that area. Fortunately, only just a few cav there aren't really able to do too much damage, but I don't. Yeah, ultimately not too relevant, but certainly a lot of villages there.
Yeah, and I think this is the point where the teal Aztec player is just going to be able to carry the game. He's set up his farm economy. He's got really good farms up. He's starting to assert some map control, building a war hut over here on the right hand side. It's just the sheer number of units that he currently has. I mean, this is the first time that BadSpeed and LordRaphael have really been out across the middle portion of the map, and just looking at the sheer population and the reinforcements that BadSpeed is likely to have as he pushes his way back out across the map.
He's got a monstrous economy.
He's just got an awesome economy and so many units, and it's looking like it's going to be really tough for...
we're looking at like 75, 80 vills, and their opponents are actually 40 villages down.
There's the GG.
Yeah, Sam has resigned. H2O on his own, gonna solo it? No, isn't gonna.
Indeed, resigns as well. And Musket played really well, carrying the game quite well, putting LordRaphael up on his large, sturdy back and saying, "Don't worry, friend, I will carry you."
Don't worry, I got this.
I got this, and indeed, he does got this. Likely to be the most resources gathered by over 3,000, although everyone fairly close in terms of resources. Military unit count, we can see, look at BadSpeed's military unit count there. 252, really, really high. Really nice military presence out in the middle of the map. And, let's take a look at the villager count. Oh, yeah. Ooh, look at Sam's villager count. Down to 19 at 17 minutes. Certainly that does not help. He's been raided to pieces here. You can see up until, about the 34-minute mark, or 12 and a half, 13-minute mark, both French players at 34, 35 CDBs. And then it looks like LordRaphael just kind of kicked it into overdrive, and the raids really started affecting Samwise. We can see down to 19 there, as I mentioned, at 17 and a half minutes. And although LordRaphael was, struggling to continue to produce villagers as well, just due to a lack of resources, as you mentioned, he did say at one point, they have basically no villagers, and his assessment of the situation there was completely on point. Sam down to 19 villagers, had taken quite a bit of damage at that point. Good raiding by Rafus' BadSpeed. Indeed, indeed.
All right. 22-minute team game.
You don't sound impressed.
No, it's fun.
It's just so weird, like without the UI, right? Like you feel like
a UI.
You just feel naked, like.
I'd have more to say if I knew if I had the EY.
Yeah, it's especially with the shipments. Like, I'd really like to know the shipment order there for like both French players. I mean, it's probably safe to assume they did something involving 700 wood for CDB, and then like I'd like to know what the next card was after that. If it was just like a cav upgrade, or whether or not it was like 700 gold, or maybe someone like snuck in something tricky like a gathering upgrade or something, spice trade maybe, perhaps something like that. It's hard to say. And that's the thing that we can't tell, unfortunately. But either way, game number 1, going to BadSpeed and LordRaphael, and I think we're gonna play a best of 3, or maybe we'll just play like 1 or 2 games. I don't know how many games we'll play. See a couple comments in chat referencing to Ryan's team gameplay.
To Briny.
Yeah, it's a well documented fact that H2O is not a big fan of team games.
Well documented, is
yes.
it?
It's well documented, I would say. Oh, Sasuke 1993 is in here. He's worked his way into this 2v2. Looks like he's keen to team up with BadSpeed.
Wait, how many games? What is this a best of?
I think just best of 3.
Cool.
Or we may just do like 2 games only.
I would like to experiment with team games a bit more. Or not experiment, sort of interact with them a bit more would be a better word.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's something that I used to really love, and then as I started like becoming a better player and playing more 1v1, like it just gets frustrating, especially dealing with like random team game players, right? Like in 3v3 I used to play so much 3v3 random, and then it's like you get to a point where like you can't control that captain's like units. Like just move your hussar in this way, or like stop like fighting the pikes with your huss, or like shoot the opponent's pikes with your longbows, right? Like I just want to be able to like control your units, but I can't because it's a team game.
That'd be cool if you
just make longbows and let me control them for you.
That'd be wow. Yeah. Well, if you could like control other people's units.
Or you can play like you know how like in AOC you can like be on the same color, be basically like the same player.
Yeah.
I used to do that with like a friend often as well. Like we neither one of us was good enough to like actually play the game by ourselves, so like we would we would play on this like same color against the PC, and like one of us would control the military and one of us would control the economy. Like that was the split. And it was like you'd have to be like asking the other guy like whether or not you could borrow a villager to like build a barracks or something, because like he was the economy guy, right? He's in charge of making villagers and doing economy, and so like you need to ask him whether or not you can like pull a villa off the wood line so you can like use it to build a barracks.
Only one though. I need that wood.
Mind you, I was also like 8 years old when this was happening, so it was a bit of a shit show to begin with, but
how did you get into Age of Empires? Like my first experience was going to a friend's. He was playing Age of Empires 1 on Deathmatch, and I had no idea what was going on. And the game just kept telling me, "You have to build more houses." And I was like, "Dude, make more houses." It's like, it always says that.
That's because you're at 30 out of 30 population. Of course it says that.
And then I got Age of Empires 1, and I just remember like, it was so fun.
I got Age of Empires 1 in the cereal box. Back when Age of Empires 1 came out, it was one of those like games that you got in the cereal box. That was like a big thing back in the late 90s, right? Like cereal box prizes. And
I had to buy it.
the original version of Age of Empires 1 came in the cereal box. And that's where I got my first exposure to Age of Empires. And,
was that what sucked you in?
Yeah. That game, and there was another game called Chex Quest. It came on the box of Chex cereal, and it was basically a Doom clone where instead of like being a Doom guy that like fighted monsters from hell, you were like a piece of Chex Mix that was like shooting like Cheerio guns. It was a bit strange.
All right.
Look it up. It's a very interesting game.
I must admit, Age of Empires 1 was where I had some of the best memories. And then AoE 2, it was really fun, and I played it a lot, but I didn't play it for as long, because Age of Mythology was like around at the same time when I got it. So I ended up just skipping AoE 2 mostly and playing Mythology, which was the one I played for the longest until I came to AoE 3. I was sitting on the bus next to a friend, and he was like, "Dude, you gotta play Age of Empires 3. There's so much strategy." And I was like, "Nah, mate, you can't top Age of Mythology. You got god powers." And came to AoE 3. Holy crap, I was wrong. Well, that's not true. I mean, both games are different, but I thought AoE 3. I think the pacing of it was what got me in, and that's when I first started taking sort of games competitively and seriously.
Interesting. Nope, my Age of Empires 3 started started in the cereal box. Started on the back of a box of Rice Krispies.
What'd you do? Like, you were like pouring your Rice Krispies. Oh, what's this? Oh,
I think they like taped it to like the inside of the box at that point. I mean, there was some prizes that came in cereal boxes that like were just like mixed in with the cereal, but I think like with the CDs they were,
don't
like,
do that
taped.
Anymore at all.
They don't. No, it's like completely not something that you do.
I guess it's not cost effective. But Age of Empires in your cereal. I hate to think how many copies of that were just thrown away because like these old people are like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, exactly. Or like for people who just didn't have a computer, even for that matter, right? Like back in 1998, it was not a given fact that every household had a computer. Even so,
we didn't get the internet for the longest period. God, I sound old. You're gonna shut up.
I remember back when the internets didn't even exist. Cinderella story, Zuta. Coming from the humble beginnings of the back of a Rice Krispies box.
This is where the chat spams story time forehead.
What's that guy look like? I don't even know what that guy looks like.
What forehead? This one.
It's a great one.
Or maybe this one. Story time. PogChamp. or maybe Dan's game would be more appropriate. Story time. I thought I tuned in for Age of Empires.
Ooh, it looks like we're gonna have some different sibs this go around.
Or maybe story time. No thanks. That's. All right, enough of that.
See, I don't know all these Twitch emoticons.
Yeah, I know so many. It was so sad. Like they all have like very specific times you should use them as well. Like once you really get into the deep within, when someone laughs, people. Never mind. Let's get this underway. Go team 2. All right.
I don't think it actually matters because I think it'll auto balance the teams. But just good for good measure.
I think it screws the map if we're both on the same team.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't spawn right.
Yeah, that would be probably a correct assumption. But what I'm saying is like because I'm team 1 and they're both team 1,
yeah.
It probably would auto balance you all to team 2.
I get it.
Yep. Indubitably. Alright, so just waiting for LordRaphael. For those of you who may just be tuning in now, we are doing a little bit of a best of 3 action for our 2v2 portion of SmackDown. We did have Mito versus Soldier previously, best of 5, which Mito won 3-0. And now we're just doing a little bit of something different, something fun. And
Siberia.
2v2 on Siberia.
Wow.
So juicy.
Why?
I just love this map. It's so good.
Yeah. Get some free towers.
Some free towers, loads of wood treasures. I mean, if we take into consideration the civs, like a couple India players, a Brit player, which obviously wants wood for the manor population spawn, definitely going to be good. For all these players, maybe save the French player. It's not as important, but wood treasures, good for every civ, I guess, basically. I love me some wood treasures. But either way, I guess we should introduce the players. Do you want to introduce the spawns?
Well, okay. I think I can do that. Spawning on the north side of the river, we do have sort of Samwise and H2O. Should we give them a team name, Zua?
Team Wise2O. Or
Wise2O. That's I was thinking
H2O.
H120.
H120. Team H120. Yeah, that's a good one.
Alright, H120. Fair enough. Yes, we do have H2O's plan is India up here in the color red, sort of in the 12 o'clock position-ish. Maybe it's nearly 12, not quite.
It's just short of 12. It's like 11:55.
Yeah, 11:55 position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Samwise12 though, playing it. Let's take a look at the clock. This is about 9.
Just a bit past 9 o'clock, maybe 9:20.
Yeah, not for this.
I'd put
it. Plan is the French has to start with the market in a house. Of course, going to get hunting dogs there. Though the other team, not sure what their team name is. BadRaphael, LordSpeed.
Lord Speed, yeah.
LordSpeed. What the? All right. Bad Lord.
Bad.
Lord Bad. I don't know. Playing here we have LordRaphael playing as the British in the color purple, and indeed BadSpeed, aka Musket Jr. playing as India.
Yep. A couple India players here once again. Of course, H2O, fairly well known for his India play. In fact, it was a bit surprised to see him playing Aztec, and in fact, see him playing Aztec so well, to be perfectly frank with you, last game. Just because I don't really associate him with that civ much whatsoever. Obviously, India, one of his go-to civs, always has been one of his primary civilization choices. So
since he came to Tad,
yeah, definitely going to be feeling really comfortable in that civ, and we'll see whether or not that has any influence in the game, whether or not it makes a difference. I'm getting spammed on Google Hangouts. I'll stop it.
What's going on?
Someone's spamming me on Google Hangouts about Dota, which I don't really even care. Well, I care literally zero about.
Yeah, it looks like LordRaphael and BadSpeed are going to be chilling next to this treasure. I think they're waiting for a crack shot. They're going to get that family of 5 monkeys, which is definitely a pretty good treasure to get.
Yeah,
just one masterless samurai to go.
And similarly, over here on the other side of the map, H2O and Samwise12 setting up to fight these 3 white tigers, which are gathering around this 175 coin treasure. So certainly looking to pick that up as well. But as you mentioned, certainly these bigger treasures do become a little bit easier to take, just due to the fact that there is multiple explorers per team, right? And so, did they just not pick it up? Yes, someone has to pick this one up, boys. there they go.
Yeah, he's realised it. You're gonna get his family of 5 Dubas, which are all monkeys named Duba.
Yep. And similarly, Samwise12 picking up the tin worth 175 coin. Interesting little choice here from H2O. Looks like he has opted for a Carnimati instead of, or Carnimata. I always say that wrong. Carnimata. Instead of, in the 1v1 standard, I mean, probably 80% of the time, maybe even higher than that, 90% of the time, we see Agrifort, right? Just because it's so strong. But where would you put down the Agrifort here and have it really be good? One of the key aspects of the Agrifort is that it's, so good at defending portions of the map, especially the smaller portions of the map that present themselves quite often in 1v1 gameplay. Where would you put down an Agrifort where it really has a similar amount of influence? And the answer is nowhere, really, right? Like, unless you were going to use it as a jumping off point to play very aggressively, say you were going to rush, across the middle of the map and use it as your forward barracks or something, out in the middle of the map. But that's certainly not going to be the case. Looks like Team H120 going to be playing a bit more defensive as we see Samwise dropping down his stable in his base. And as a result, no aggro fort for the India player. Similarly, from the other side, BadSpeed as well, dropping down his Carnimata in base.
They had this sort of BadSpeed was like FB question mark. It's like that internal sort of conflict where the players are like, no one suggests a forward base, and you end up building at home.
Everyone just like does their own thing, and in fact, that's actually what it looks like it's going to be the norm for all players here. We can see Stable going down for H2O in his base. We can see Stable has gone down for Samwise12 as well in his base. BadSpeed yet to drop a military building. In fact, just opting to use his beginning resources to drop down 2 of these trading posts. And we can see LordRaphael with his first military building as well, going down in his base. So it looks like everyone realizing that it's Siberia, everyone realizing the pace of the game likely going to be fairly slow from the uptake. And as a result, everyone just dropping down very defensive structures, not really opting to play super aggressive. And as a result, we may see a little bit longer, more raid-intensive game here early in the game. Although that being said, there are some Hussar out on the map for Samwise12, so could potentially be looking to do a little bit of raiding.
Wow, raiding with cavalry? Whoa.
What is this? What is this madness?
Is he going to pick one up there? Nice quick response from LordRaphael, putting them into the... putting them into the tower, but then fire longbow come out. I think Samwise had a quick, I'm going to grab those, and then actually sees some pikemen and chooses not to.
And the smart choice. I mean, he knows that Raphael's no slouch. Likely going to be 5 pikes brewing somewhere around his base. Whether or not they were close enough by so he could have picked up the longbows, that's a little bit questionable. And just doing the safe thing, heading his way on out, making sure that he just gets out of there. Looks like he is going to run across the scouts here, and he's also going to run into some of the first Zams as well.
Snared by the monks, and the Zam's going to do a bit of damage. It actually doesn't snare them though; they move faster.
Yep. And it looks like he's just going to be able to push back out here. H2O similarly mixing in some Zams. And, you know, as is the norm on this map, in a lot of even just 1v1 action, oftentimes a lot of raiding. And certainly that's, I mean, looking to be the case here as well. And as a result of that, we can see both India players opting for an anti-raid start. They're really starting out, focusing on getting those Zambaraks out, and as a result, just trying to shut down the raiding pressure. We can see that the first batch of Hussar from Samwise were kind of dissuaded from attacking BadSpeed's base, and is going to be able to use those to continue to just force his opponent back a little bit. Raphael really builds up his mass here. And I think just by looking at what we've seen so far, what is likely going to happen, I was going to say, is it looks like for sure one of the French players will be aging. Perhaps both of the French players are just the one French player looking to age.
Yeah.
And then maybe a timing push here coming from the Brit and the India player. We can see a lot of longbows being trained here. Out of LordRaphael. 2 stables going down for BadSpeed, indicating that he really wants to focus on making units over anything else really at this point in the game. And now that Sam has aged up, he's going to have kind of a lack of units here for a little bit of time, and that may be a window where LordRaphael and BadSpeed can push out across the map and maybe try and do a little bit of damage.
Could be. Equally though, being up to the Fortress Age without really... It feels like he just sneaked on up there, and actually this is, you know, with the tech advantage.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be good for him. He does also have a barracks built and has just sent 1,000 wood as well. So looks like in true team game fashion, likely going to be dropping down to town center over here to the 9 o'clock or I guess 8 or 9 o'clock position down to the left side here. And we'll see whether or not that goes unpunished. Obviously, 1,000 wood and immediately building town centers. If you can get away with it and you can get a couple of minutes to, you know, get those powered up, get some time, you know, on your side to actually be able to train some villagers and get that economy to start paying off, going to be super good. But at the same time, look at the number of units that LordRaphael and Musket JR currently have available to them. It could be a little bit scary. But that being said, looks like BadSpeed is going to age up himself, is dropping down the Tower of Victory.
He did mention up in the chat.
Yeah. And as a result, it's going to find his way aging. And it looks like it's just going to be a very economic game. Samwise12 dropping down his second town center here in a really nice spot. Going to be able to cover this silver mine, this big patch of deer here as well as helping secure the a little bit further north location, which does include this trading post from H2O, and these couple more hunts here as well. So certainly going to be booming quite hard here behind this. Certainly has some very decent upgrades at this point, likely having all the relevant market H2 and H1 and H2 upgrades for certain, getting saw placer mines, steel traps, all the good stuff that he needs there. And interestingly enough, H2O not aging, opting instead just to continue to mass. So we can see, look at the number of Zams he has out right now. That's just so many Zaraks. Unfortunately for him, he is running into a situation where his opponent is aging, and he's not going to be able to stop it or do too much raiding with these. He's going to pick off one villager, but soon he's going to find himself in a position where his opponent is going to have upgraded Zams, and when that happens, certainly not going to be wanting to fight there. But at the same time, look at the number of skirmishers that are available here for Samwise12 pushing out across the map, and things starting to look pretty good for Team H2O and Samwise12. Although look at LordRaphael's score. Like how has that happened? He has just gotten completely out of control in terms of score.
It's monstrous. His boom was very very greedy early on, and he managed to get away with it. It was just really not a lot happened, and I guess Siberia the extra defense.
But at the same time, the skirmishers stepping their way forward, and the upgrade's not complete for BadSpeed Zams just yet. We're looking to see whether or not that'll happen. There comes the upgrade, the ever-important disciplined upgrade, which is going to really allow him to start pushing forward here. We can see the skirms taking a lot of damage running away from longbows. And now that LordRaphael is aged up, H2O still finds himself in the second age, the only player not in the third age. And now with the Charminar Gate coming up, is going to be playing a little bit of catch-up in terms of upgrades and in tech advantage that his opponent has. We can see BadSpeed building a town center off here to the right-hand side of his base, securing a lot of coin mines, a lot of hunts, and with just the absolute insane boom that LordRaphael has pulled off here early in the game, and gotten to the third age, gotten his veterancy upgrades, and still continues to be stable behind all of this. LordRaphael looking to be in a really good position here, moving his way forward, looking like he's going to have so many longbowmen coming out here in the very near future. Indeed, look at 3 barracks is up. Going to really be able to spam really hard out of that.
Is significantly more resources up than his opponent. Currently, nearly 20,000 resources gathered, and compared to sort of his opponents who are on sort of roughly 17,000 and 16,000 each.
Yeah. Samwise12 is continuing to boom pretty hard here. He does have another town center come out. I'm curious, if you still have the graphs, what CDB count is Samwise12 at this point in the game?
Currently at 39.
Yeah, so still has a little bit of a ways to go before, you probably want to see him up in the 50 to 60 mark before you feel like French is in a position where they can start to really take over the game, right? At some point, French will really start to take over the game. And we've all seen, French is banned in every treaty game, and we've all seen the late game super French, imperial curse spam or whatever. But still has quite some time to go before he's really able to do that. Looks like H2O flaring this position over here. It looks like he's spotted some down hunts from BadSpeed. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be pushing into 2 town centers as it looks like they're looking to move out here across the map. But at the same time, unfortunately for them, still caught out of position a bit here are LordRaphael and BadSpeed. We can see all of their units posturing down here to the south-hand side of the map, trying to look for these remaining 3 Hussar that Sam has roaming around here. And that's going to buy H2O and Sam quite a bit of time to be pushing over here. And as a result, maybe can do some damage to the economies of their opponents before they really get in a position to deal with it. But at the same time, longbows, Zams, all the units working their way across the map for Team LordRaphael and BadSpeed. And it looks like we're going to see a big engagement, really our first big engagement of the game, our second big engagement, I guess, of the game going to take place here. Wow. Industrial age.
Out of nowhere.
I didn't even see that. His economy must just be insane. Charminar Gate coming down as well, and that's going to result in having a couple of disciplined Mahouts. And certainly, you know, the honored upgrade is going to be finishing very, very soon for BadSpeed. And just look at the scores. Look at how hard he's boomed. And let's not forget, I mean, he's got longbows on his team as well. So, big fight coming up here. And let's see whether or not the honored upgrade finishes. Big batch of Mahouts coming here as well. It's going to be up to H2O to be able to fend this off. And it looks like the skirm's got a little bit out of position.
Wow, all bunched up. The area damage is real.
Oh no! Does get to town center, but at what cost? It looks like most of the Mahouts have been focused down, but still, a lot of damage being put back out across by these longbows. We can see, just look at the damage when they're allowed to just stand there and fire, doing so much damage to the skirms, outranging the skirms quite significantly. And at this point, BadSpeed is aged up, still has 2 town centers, and I think we're likely going to see a situation where he's going to gather the resources needed for that honored Zamorak upgrade, and at that point going to feel very confident pushing out across the map. But at the same time, the army count here for H2O is quite high, and it looks like he has spotted out, oh, I don't know, maybe 50 villagers from LordRaphael. But look at LordRaphael also just powering his way into the industrial age.
Both players up now. Wow.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little bit too aggressive. If they can't get the upgrades that their units need to actually be more strong in the third age versus fourth age, they're maybe just better off just staying in and not aging up in general. We can still see that even though Musket has aged up, still hasn't gotten the ever-important honored upgrade for his Zams, and so as a result of that, really not fighting with much more efficiency than he was in the previous age, and kind of allowing Samwise to catch up a little bit. Look at his score, look at his eco, 288 score points versus LordRaphael at 322. Not too long ago, that score was considerably more in favor of LordRaphael, and now obviously Raphael has boomed quite hard, has gotten into the fourth age, soon is going to have things like factories. In fact, already has 1 factory up, but at the same time, the French player is starting to get maybe a little bit out of hand and get into a position where he can do some lasting damage here. Ooh, and Yermi coming out as well. Oh, these Zams, they keep dipping in and out, trying to do some damage, but just not able to really accomplish anything against all these longbows. And LordRaphael is aged up, and I think what we can expect from him is an honored longbow upgrade.
Honored longbows.
Well, not what's yeoman longbow.
Scummy Japan players.
Yeah, that's so true. The age 4 upgrade, I guess it's the Royal Guard upgrade.
Okay,
Inspiration does come down. Looks like he's going to try and pick off the cannon to the best of his ability. Ooh, even getting his Yermi up in there, taking out a lot of the Zams. And the longbows pushing their way forward. Now, behind all this, Samwise has gotten to the next stage, but at the same time, where's his army? His army is completely split off here. H2O may just lose his entire army before Sam's really able to get these upgrades. Now, Sam is in the fourth age, does have Corsairs starting to come out, but at the same time, I don't know, he needs a lot of resources. If you take into consideration how expensive all of the resources, in terms of resources, all of the upgrades are, for H4, it's so expensive, and to have the resources allocated to those instead of military units makes it very easy to die to a timing push. And still, no H4 upgrades from either player yet. And I feel like that may be the breaking point. There it is, guard longbowman coming up. And this is going to signal go time for LordRaphael. 400 score points. Just got his H4 upgrade. He is ready to fight, and it looks like he knows it.
Yeah, I did mention in the chat they wanted to push, and I think that is the best time to push. Interestingly enough, sieging H2O's sort of base or town centers, is H2O the target here simply because he's the weaker player at the moment on the opposing team?
Or maybe the easiest player to tilt. Yeah, either way, certainly they're doing a lot of damage here. He's going to lose a lot. Well, maybe unfortunately for the purple player, though, caught a little bit out of position. The Urmi are dropping down to all these skirms, and it'll be very important whether or not Sam's able to get the H4 upgrade for his French skirmishers before this fight really starts to take place. There's the honored Zambroak upgrade that we're looking for. Finally getting those upgraded. Of course, the Urmi, because he is an H4 do auto upgrade, are very, very strong. But at the same time, H2O flanking in here with a couple Sawars, and maybe just caught a little bit out of position. A lot of damage going down from all sides here. The longbowmen are standing in a pretty good spot, but now that they are kind of trapped out here, a little bit caught out of position is the purple player. And as a result, he's going to get this town center, but having his units split up like that may have resulted in something that...
Yeah, back home, taking a big old raid from Cuirassiers. His response is just regular pikemen, not even veteran pikemen, and these Cuirassiers cleaning them up quite quickly, though fortunately no raid damage coming in, no villages lost.
Yeah, but this is the scary point, right? Like, this is the point where French is in a position where he can really start to take over the game. Now, if we take a look at the scores, combined, they're about even, but look at the score for Samwise12. 421 score points, really starting to pull ahead of even LordRaphael, who, up to just a couple of minutes ago was so much stronger. And when that upgrade for his skirms his skirm count is very high. Going to have a really strong ball of those. He's got the infrastructure established, has 2 plantations down, both factories ticking away on wood as well. So really strong economy for him. And
all the coin mines still show on the map for me, whereas they've actually been used up. Weird.
I guess it could be as a result of like division, maybe something weird going on there. Oh, and here's what we like to see: team game walls. Team game walls. Drawing the battle lines halfway across the map is LordRaphael. And we can see just both players transitioning into the heavy anti-cavalry units. The Howdas coming out with the BadSpeed, realizing how important it is going to be to shut down these Cuirassiers. But at the same time, look at there, we do have the H4 upgrade now for the skirms, and this is going to be something that's going to be really, really tricky to deal with. There's a lot of skirms here, and Samwise12's economy is certainly outfitted to be able to deal with this. And I don't know that really there's the appropriate response from BadSpeed and LordRaphael at this point. Do see a couple longbowmen here trying to get into range, doing a little bit of damage, but also getting poked down a little bit. And here comes the swing around from BadSpeed, and it looks like it's going to do or die time. And LordRaphael doesn't really have that much stuff, really, so to speak. Perhaps a big pop of cav coming out, some dragoons going to come out. The Urmi are in a pretty good position, catching the skirmishers quite out of position here. But the skirm's still going to be able to do massive amounts of damage to these remaining anti-cavalry units. Unfortunately, they kind of do have their backs up against this wall, taking a lot of damage from the dragoons and guard longbowmen as well over the wall. But at the same time, it looks like they're going to be able to clean this up. The Urmi still do a massive amount of damage, regardless of the situation. And with the reinforcing units here coming out of LordRaphael, certainly looks like they're going to be able to deal with that quite nicely. Also, where did Where did that bombard come from? Must have come from the Ottoman consulate or something. Did you see that? There was randomly a great bombard.
Just chilling.
Just chilling like a villain. But at the same time, the army was dealt with of Sam's quite well there. H2O does look like he has his feet back underneath him, does have his rice paddy infrastructure started back up, so actually things looking fairly even. Both India players hovering around 350 score points, and both of their European counterparts hovering around 450 score points, so both players looking to be quite strong. And it's really perhaps just going to come down to communication and who gets the one good team fight. Now, obviously, French, the longer they go, the longer this game goes, France turns into like the quintessential late game monster that nobody wants to have to deal with. And he's very quickly approaching that point. I would say if you give him another 10-ish minutes, he will most certainly be at that point. He'll be at the point where he'll have upgraded cuirassiers to their industrial stats. And in fact, Gendarme has just finished the upgrade, so it certainly
Wagner, the pet white tiger.
Where are we seeing a Wagner?
Wagner, there's several tigers joining the disciplined Howder with this incoming pushing with
interesting. That's a card you have to send to allow your monks to train that. So. And it looks like the push is going to be real here, but I don't know. Like, there's just, look at how many Gendarme there are, how many Skirm there are. It's, well, like I said, it's going to come down to the position. We're going to see the Skirms being drawn out here a little bit to the south of the map by the raiding Dragoons. But is that going to be enough to buy him enough time? Industrial Age has been finished here from H2O, so he's going to find himself in the 4th Age as well. Pulled a little bit out of position, our H2O in Samwise12. We can see H2O forcing a lot of his economy back into his base, forcing them off of the rice paddies, and losing quite a lot of villagers at the same time. So, but at the same time, everything comes crashing in. Oh no, Gendarme versus Longbow. Oh no!
Oh dear!
Oh no! And the Howdas realize it. They're like, oh shit, we have to get back and defend this. But the Longbowmen are really caught out of position. This is going to be a great fight. Here for the Gendarme, killing those Longbowmen with these. Inspiration is popped by BadSpeed, is trying to deal with these Gendarme cuirassiers to the best of his ability, but at the same time, massive amounts of damage being taken here for the British player especially. And with the skirmishers returning in, it looks like they're going to be able to pick off quite a few of those Howdas as well. The Howdas trying to get out. Obviously, the Howdas do cost 350 food and 250 coins, so they're a very expensive unit. Doesn't want to lose those, but at the same time, just absolutely detrimental amount of damage they're taken by the Brit player. But by the looks of it, he's not phased. Still 532 score points, continuing to power ahead. Does have some of these Dragoons raiding, and what it's going to come down to is whether or not they can slow down or stop this French economy. We can see LordRaphael trying to do a little bit of raiding here, but that's really what it's going to come down to. If they can get some sort of raid pulled together here against Sam and really damage him in some way, I think that's going to be their only real path to victory, because aside from killing the French player's economy, you're just going to have big batches of cuirassiers and upgraded units just roaming around it. Oh no, caught out of position again with a big batch of longbows. Oh my god.
Yeah. BadSpeed did mention can't make longbow versus gens, and LordRaphael says yes. That's 1-1.
He concurs. But this is the point, like, he's invested he's for sure invested, at least the Yeoman card. He's invested a lot of resources into upgrading them, and to have to start sending like musket cards or transitioning to dragoons, sending like a whole different slew of cards, starts to become very, very awkward as well. But it looks like the Gendarme's going to be getting in here. The Hussars are the next unit being trained here by LordRaphael, and they are very strong, but certainly not Gendarme level of strong. And this may be the point where things start to fall apart for LordRaphael and
600, nearly 700 score points for the French player. Holy cow.
And this is the point where, you know, the French player is just in his element. He's got nearly infinite economy. He's got basically all the upgrades he needs. He's got the H4 upgrades for both of his skirmishers and his gendarme. And now he's just in the point where he can freely raid around the map. He can just go stand in his opponent's economy with these unkillable units and just deal huge amounts of damage. And we can see, you know, LordRaphael and Musket JR did try, oh my god, Imperial Age. Samwise12 is online for Imperial Gendarmes, and that's a unit we all love to see in the game, right? Like, who doesn't love to see Imperial Gendarme? Oh my goodness, these scores just getting out of hand. It looks like this first little batch of Gendarme are going to get dealt with, but at what cost? I mean, this is the point where he needs to be able to have his economy, you know, the British player needs to be able to basically knock down the French player's economy and be able to keep up. And just this transition away from his current economy is, I just don't think it's going to cut it. I think he's too far behind at this point.
Imperial upgrades, definitely something. And like, it's not just gendarmes, it's that capital that's going to come down as well, and it's just ridiculous economy. BadSpeed does mention that he is going to be able to get up to the Imperial Age himself pretty soon. And if he can, he should be able to, well, hopefully keep up with Samwise. Otherwise, things are looking a bit tough.
Yeah.
H2O up to the Imperial Age as well.
Oof.
Wow, nicely done.
We may see a situation where we see everyone with the Imperial Age here pretty quick. But certainly both players on Sam's team are up to the Imperial Age now. And now that, you know, those Imperial upgrades are beginning to finish, this is the situation where you want the French player on your team. I mean, look at Imperial Gendarmes. Look at their stats. 1,100 hit points, 63 hand attack with 2 splash. Like, just an absolutely insanity unit. Like, the fact that unit exists, even at this current state of the game, like, combine it with, like, I don't know, a British Hussar, which, given he's only veteran stats, but still 444, 448 hit points and 41 hand attack. Like,
it is the Imperial upgrade that makes them look that ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
but yeah, the fact that you can train what is effectively a Mameluke, well, not quite that. I think an Imperial Gendarme would be a Mameluke. It actually would in a straight-up fight.
Yeah, because it's got weird. Oh, and look at the. Oh, the villagers, and they can't all hide in that single town center. We're gonna lose a lot of villagers here. And you know, Howdas are good, the Howdas are strong, but the amount of overkill going on here is quite high as well. And you know, BadSpeed is aged up. We can see the Taj Mahal nearly finished here on the right hand side, but
another bombard.
Yeah, another bombard and some janissaries as well. But just look at it. Like, Sam knows the key to victory here. Just ram Imperial Gendarme down your opponent's throat until he can't deal with it. It's looking bleaker and bleaker. The score gaps are really starting to show here. H2O even, you know, extending his score advantage over, you know, the lesser scored opponent as well. And this is the situation where one slip of the finger and France sieges down your entire town center, and everything just goes to hell really, really quick. In fact, we may see the defining moment here of this game. We have Exalted Gurkhas, Imperial Gendarme, and Honored Samurai pushing their way into Musket's base, and I don't know what he can do to deal with this. We can see he's got a lot of anti-cav. He's trying to fend these off as best he can, but Sam just doing the smart thing, spreading out, knowing that to win late game, all you have to do is kill the economy. Does force the ceasefire out of the Taj Mahal from BadSpeed, but that's only going to buy him an additional 15 seconds of time to live. BadSpeed knows that he calls GG, has resigned. LordRaphael as well has resigned in game number 2 in a 33-minute nail-biter, going to Team Samwise12 and H2O. Whew. Look at that eco. Look at the French eco. And I mean, that's an artifact of, you know, Sam did ship 1,000 wood as his first card in the Third Age, did immediately drop down 2 town centers, and just played an eco style behind that. And for what it's worth, I mean, he made it work out very, very well. So
I've been speaking, but my mic's been muted. Damn. I hate that. It was never mind. I was like,
Why is he talking over me?
Oh no, you weren't though. It was working perfectly, and I just thought like, yeah, this is saying the stuff, and then oh wait, never mind.
And then nobody can hear me.
I mentioned that H2O finished on exactly 666 points.
Yeah. Speak of the devil. I'm so funny. But yeah, I mean, really what it comes down to is Sam maximized his eco really well. Got up to max CDB at 22 minutes, which is pretty good in itself. Reaching max villager population before anyone else in the game. And then was just able to steamroll all of those resources that he was able to gather into lots of upgrades in early Imperial Age. And then, I mean, obviously, once French gets to this point, there's really no stopping them. Save, some sort of miracle raid or blowing up his factories, making it so, something good has to happen. And unfortunately, they weren't ever able to really get some sort of raid going on him. And once the Imperial Gendarme ball got rolling, there's really no stopping it. So, but an interesting game nonetheless. I don't know if I've got another one of those in me though, another team game. I also did want to do a replay today as well. I said I was going to do it, so
all right.
I'll probably just do that.
Yeah, I think. All right, I think I'm gonna watch your replay. I need to get the other one you did up on YouTube as well.
Yep, I think I've done a couple. I've done like 3 of them so far.
We also need to do my podcast at some point. And that game show I mentioned a while ago, I still need to plan that.
Okay.
I'm still working out the logistics of the game show.
Okay.
Like I'm not sure how you would buzz in to answer a question.
You just yell me.
Yeah.
I know.
I'll work it out. All right. Well, in that case, I think I'm gonna head off.
All right. Sounds good.
Lots of games tomorrow, though. Tournament games being played Sunday. I have the day off. Wangled that one out. Going to be casting. It's going to be a lot of fun, so do stay tuned for that if you're available tomorrow, Sunday. I think that's it. Game show, question mark? Yeah, I want to make a game show. I want to make a bunch of questions together with a game show format and have some big names and just have some fun.
It would be fun, I think.
Yeah, it'll be really, really quick fire questions. It'll be how many HP does a musket have? Or maybe not stupid questions like that. That's really obvious. Or I don't know. That'd be fun. But yeah, all right.
Indubitably. That's a hard word to say. Indubitably.
What does it mean? The question.
What? Indubitably? Indubitably?
Yeah.
It means certainly. Like certainly. Most certainly.
All right.
I'm just trying to find this replay that I said I was going to do.
Where to buy AoE 3? And the options are Steam, which has 26% of the vote. Somewhere Else, which has 0% of the vote. And Gaia, which happens to have a staggering 3/4 of the vote.
Okay.
All right.
Found the replay.
See you later.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you later, man.
Bye.
All right, so that's going to do it for Interjection. I'm going to download this replay. This replay was submitted by... This replay was submitted by Jan Philip PR. And it looks like it's an Aztec versus China game. And he is currently PR22, and he's playing against a PR24 guy. So I'm going to rename this replay 111 so that I can find it easily. And I'm going to put it here. My docs, my games, Age of Empires 3, save game, 111, put it right in there. And, okay, so this is, so I haven't done one of these for, it's been a week or two since I've done one of these. This is the time where basically, if you have a game to submit, you can submit it in the thread that I have here on esocommunity.net. And I try once a week to go over these games. This game was submitted by Jan Philip PR, and he said, would be awesome if you could take a look at my Aztec versus China game on Siberia. I feel like I could have won this game at the 9-minute mark. It would be cool if you could give me some advice concerning his efficiency, his micro, and his unit composition. He's, like I mentioned, he's PR22 and he's playing against the PR24 guy. So just looking for some advice. So as is the norm with all these games, I haven't viewed this game yet. I haven't watched it. In fact, I just downloaded it now because I like to be able to give my honest opinion on the game. I like to watch it for the first time on stream so that the player can have my honest, unbiased reaction. It's easy to watch a game and then think about it for a while and think like, well, now what could they have done differently? And then formulate like a really articulate response. But sometimes the best response is one that just comes naturally and comes, upon immediate viewing. And some of the most glaring weaknesses are things that that you can notice almost immediately. So here we are loading into the game. And I believe we're watching Jan Phillip. Yeah, so we're going to be watching the red player. He's playing the Aztec civilization. And the map is Siberia. His opponent is over here playing China. One thing that's important to mention in this matchup, especially on this particular map, is it's very hard to stop China from FFing. And so Aztec needs to go into this game with a very clear game plan. And whether or not that involves playing very aggressively or doing some sort of economic-based like semi-FF, you need to go into the game knowing exactly what you want to do. And I will guarantee you that if you mess around too much, like kind of half-assing one strategy and then calling an audible midway through and doing something else, that you can very quickly find yourself in a situation where the China player just like gets to the third age, kind of unhindered, rolls a whole bunch of units into you, and things get really awkward really quick. So we'll be looking for that to make sure that doesn't happen in particular. But everything looking fine so far. I got your fire pit, which I would assume is gathering XP, which it is, which is good. Of course, it does start on the fertility dance for people who may be new to the Aztec civilization. It defaults to fertility dance. You always want to make sure that you do switch over to the XP because it is slightly better. We'll get you your first shipment a little bit earlier, definitely a little bit better. So definitely do that, which is good. Your scouting pattern so far has been good. I do like that you're separating this snow leopard out, using him to get a little bit of vision back. And it looks like you're going to move up here and start taking this wood treasure. So wood treasure is always good. First shipment comes in, should be 3 villagers. I mean, this is standard stuff that everyone should know at this point. There comes the 3 vills. Starting to take the wood treasure. One thing I will mention here, I'm just going to pause it briefly. You have the snow leopard over here, and if you could bring the snow leopard in, you can actually like double the XP that you'll get off of the snow leopard just by using the war chief's special ability. He doubles XP for units standing around him that get kills. So if you took the snow leopard in here and used it to last hit the other snow leopard, you would actually get like significantly more XP, and that little bit of XP isn't a huge difference, but it's something that you might see a high-level player do. But it looks like you're not going to do here, so it's certainly not like a game-breaking thing. Like I mention it only because it's early game and there's not a lot else going on. In fact, we'll fast forward through a lot of this because I mean there's not even like much in terms of herding to comment on. just due to the fact that Asian maps do have these unherdable first set of hunts. So you can't even like be hurting them. You probably should have scouted back here with your lion or your snow leopard at some point. Like, you really want to know whether or not there's a hunt back here and a coin mine back here. There's a coin mine back here, which will often spawn in Siberia. There's not a hunt though, so it looks like you do have a second hunt scouted out here to the right hand side. Probably should be over here starting to herd that. I don't know that, you know, this swing with the leopard is the best. Generally, like, these pet type units are best exploring like little nooks and crannies of maps, just because their line of sight's a little bit awkward. But it doesn't really matter. Fast forward a little bit more. Villager micro's been fine. Switching over to fertility dance, that's a mistake. Hopefully that was like just a mistake and you notice it. You should definitely not be on fertility dance. I mean, fertility dance is increasing your or decreasing your train time right at this point by 16%, and you're not training literally anything. So that's a mistake. Looks like you have a villager going out across the map, 2 villagers, and we'll see whether or not you build a forward base. 700 wood coming down off of a fast age up. That's pretty standard stuff. Everything looking good in that regard. And let's see what China's doing back here in his base. He is doing an FF, so I mean, that's what we would expect. If I were playing China in this matchup, I would be doing the same thing. So that's kind of to be expected. Constant villager production is good. Everything looking good in that regard. Probably could have put a few more villagers over onto wood just to make sure that you got that war hut up as quickly as humanly possible, especially if you're going to be trying to play aggression. And here's one other thing I want to point out, I guess, at this point in the game. So these villagers are going over here to the left-hand side. This is the first swing through his base that you've taken. And perhaps you maybe would have wanted to consider going through his base to see his base layout a little bit earlier. If we take a look at what angle you're going to be coming from, the things that you really want to be harassing from the China player to stop them from getting aged up are 2 things. That you want to be harassing their coin mine, obviously, if you can, which is unfortunately tucked fairly safely back here. And the other big thing that you want to try and pressure is their villages. If you can effectively kill their villages, that's going to be very beneficial to you. Now, there is this one here, which is, fortunately, in the black of the map, not been scouted by you, but it is going to line up well with where your forward base is going to come down. But on the other hand, like this one here, the one you do now have scouted, you can already tell it's going to be awkward. Plus, the hunts that he's hurting, like everything is going to be a little bit awkward if you're jumping off points over here. So perhaps maybe take a little bit earlier of a swing through his base, just so you can line up your pressure to actually apply pressure to positions where his stuff is actually going to be building. That being said, you did get a little bit lucky here that he does have this village exposed here, so it looks like you're going to be able to apply some pressure there. You have the resources to build your war hut, and you're not building it. Looks like you're just trying to find a spot to put it down. There it goes. This is awkward to me. This is a little bit awkward of a spot. I feel like I could have been a little bit further over here, or else it maybe would have been better off on the right-hand side. But also, you're still on fertility dance, which isn't the greatest. You probably should have collected your coin, because it's likely that you're going to be building a market here out of this 700 wood. There, you noticed it. And you can use that to get hunting dogs rolling. Your herding's not great. This should have been herded much earlier. I did touch on that earlier on. We can tell just by the amount of time your villagers have spent walking around out here that your efficiency is not great. That herding could have been right up underneath your town center by the time it became relevant. Coyote runner knights. Okay, so this is the first awkward thing. Like this is to me like here's the issue I have with this. If you're gonna play aggressively out of here, I almost feel like this needs to be like being trained pumas, because what good are Coyote Runner Knights really gonna be like jamming into China here? Maybe you'll be able to get a little bit of damage done, but I feel like if you're just like messing up for a timing push, it would be significantly better. 600 wood. Not sure that I'm totally on board with that, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm not, I guess, completely opposed to it. Wood is really slowly gathering. You still don't have your market down. You could easily have a market and hunting dogs at this point. You should also have like these animals either with your army or actively continuing to scout the map just for a little bit more vision. I don't mind your build too much. It would be better if all of your hunts were right underneath your base. There comes your market. Your market's a little late. Your market should have been built by now. Finding yourself in an awkward position here where you're building another house. If you didn't have that house building, I mean, you have enough population space without that house. You could have easily gotten out a full batch of coyotes here, or at least 2 more. You could have not quite gotten a full batch, but you could have at least gotten 2 more coyotes if this house just wasn't building. And you could have your hunting dogs researching as well. So a little bit of awkwardness there. Just not the crispest of builds. And this is what I was saying, like when you go in with your build, this feels to me like you're just freestyling a build. You don't really have a lot of either practice with doing whatever build you're trying to do, or else you're just like not really sure what you want to do, and you're like, well, I'll just make some coyotes, and you're just going in with a general game plan of like making a couple of coyotes, trying to get a trade post or 2, but nothing's really calculated out, nothing's really planned. And that's really the easiest way to make like the next jump to the next PR level is planning out your plays a little bit more. 600 wood comes, constant villager production, that's an important thing. Do have a trading post up. At this point, like, you might as well have just had this war hut back in your base. You haven't actually applied any pressure with it. The whole point in like putting your war hut forward would be to try and deny China from like getting to age 3 efficiently, and like obviously that's failed, right? You haven't even poked your head in here. You don't even know what he's doing. You haven't killed any of his villages. For what it's worth, you know, you could have had your war hut back here. I think it's perfectly fine that you're electing to do this like kind of play style, that you're, you know, going to be doing some sort of either timing based play or tech based play, but then just do it back from your base, because there's no point in like being really far extended forward here if you're not going to try and hard deny the player. At least put it like maybe back here so it's a little bit more out of the way. Big raid coming in. Going to get 1 villager for sure. Good. Don't have a lot of vision of what's going on over here. It'd be nice to know, like, if he had villagers gathering over here. Could be splitting up a little bit more. In fact, we just saw these moving. I don't know, like, that. So, I don't know if you saw me see this, but so this, I was watching the game basically from your perspective, watching your coyotes, and I saw these guys move over here in the mini-map. And that's, like, those hunts will not shift like that unless something shoots them. And we can see there's a dead one over here, so we know there's something over here as well. If you would have noticed that, like I just noticed that in the replay here, you should immediately have, you know, at least 1 or 2 coyotes going over here to pick that off, just because it would be pretty easy pickup there. But that's a pretty high level thing. I don't expect a lot of people to notice things like that. And there's even, you know, people like Sam who will notice like foundations going down, and you'll see like the ground level, and you can tell by how the ground levels what building it's going to be just based on like the shape of how the ground levels. Like if the ground leveled here all of a sudden to like a square like this, you would know it's a barracks. If it leveled into like a longer shape, you would know it was like a stable or whatever. But I don't expect, like, I don't comment on that a lot because I don't expect a lot of people to notice that. That's like a PR40 plus thing to notice. Still building coyotes. Just kind of like randomly queuing up 5 coyotes and then not being able to train a villager, stuff like that. Like, make sure you always are training a villager, especially you know, if it's not imperative to get out the full batch of coyotes. I always focus on getting the eco up a little bit better. And here you see the wonder, and I mean, this is the point where it should be like, oh crap. The important thing will be, does he have step riders or does he have Old Han pikemen? The good China players will have 3 pike here, which are going to make these coyotes significantly less significant. Looks like he does have the step riders, so it's not going to be good. You also denied a little bit here. That's nice. You're going to be able to siege these down, slow down his consulate, slow down his war academy. That's sloppy placement from him. Probably should have had that a little bit safer. He also hasn't herded the best we can see. Like, his hunts are kind of trapped out here. They're not in a very good spot, so that's beneficial to you. Still would have liked to see you go and pick up that villager. It's low-hanging fruit. 6 Puma coming, and it looks like at this point, like, you're just planning on playing aggressively. Doing a pretty good job of continuing to play aggressively, denying these buildings from going down. The longer you can keep the War Academy and Consulate from going up, obviously the better it's going to be for you. He's going to start stockpiling resources. Maybe a little bit overcommittal here with your Mace Holton. Don't want to take too much damage from this tower if possible. But being able to slow down the Consulate and the War Academy. And so this is the point in the 9 minutes where you mentioned, like, you felt like you maybe could have won, or you were maybe even in fact winning. And although you're in a good spot here, I don't want to rain on your parade too much, but, like, this is, like, kind of this is on par for the course here for China. Like, this, although it looks like you have a lot of stuff in his base, if I'm China, I don't really feel like I'm losing here, to be perfectly honest with you. I have my porcelain tower up, which is making an insane number of resources. I'm in the next age. I'm shipping a really strong card. I know that you've likely committed at least 1 or 2 very aggressive shipments into making this number of military units, so my economy's likely not as far behind as maybe it could be. And so as a result of that, like, even though you say at the 9-minute mark you feel like you could be winning, as the China player in this position, like, he's done some stuff wrong as well, right? Like, his buildings haven't gotten down, he hasn't herded very well, his village placement has been a bit off, but he's still certainly in no way, like, quote, losing this game at this point. I mean, this is a perfectly fine position for China to be in at this PR level. When these 5 meteor hammers come out, they can certainly change the tides of the game. You're losing a lot of stuff here, overstaying your welcome. In general, it's not a great idea to fight against Minutemen, especially under this much siege pressure from the tower and the town center. And when these 5 meteor hammers come out, likely going to make it a little tougher. One thing I do like is you are denying his buildings quite nicely. You have kind of stopped building villagers, which is very easy for an Aztec player to do. A lot of low-level Aztec players will kind of forget to be training villagers, so that's not so good. The one thing I do like here is you are applying pressure to the villages. These are the low-hanging fruits, the easy-to-kill stuff. This one should honestly be your next target as well. Remember, you don't have to kill his entire economy to really win this matchup. All you have to do is deny him from being able to ship military shipments. Here come the 5 meteor hammers. Good positioning with the Puma Spearmen. Dissuading them. And now I feel like you're overstaying your welcome here a little bit too much. You just got vision back here, just realized, oh, he got up his consulate, got up his war academy. You could run and gun this village, make life hell for him, and then peace on out. Looks like you're just going to overstay your welcome here, trying to chase down the meteor hammers. And this just comes down to the execution portion of your game, right? Like, everything's starting to get a little bit sloppier. Your coyotes are kind of just like randomly sieging the Sumer Palace, taking a lot of damage continually from the tower. The next follow-up step should be to be killing this village, and you're just kind of like circling around, sieging random stuff. So that's maybe something to take into consideration. At the same time, you are still in a pretty good spot. You're trying to use. You do have a lot of shipments available. Like, you have 2 cards that you could be sending: 5-vil, 4-vil, 9 mace, coyote, combat. Like, in any of these cards, honestly, would be perfectly fine to be sending now. But you're overstaying your welcome here a little bit. Killing a bunch of villagers, that definitely is good. Gonna get caught here a little bit. Starting to train Pumas, I like that. Obviously, the more siege potential you have, the better. Ooh, here comes Intervention. This is going to be the tough card to deal with. I'm going to take a lot of damage here, retreating out. Yeah, so this is just like feeling like a bit sloppy with the follow-up. Is honestly what it's looking like here. You overstage your welcome. Let's see what situation you've left him in. He is at 21 villagers. He doesn't have basically any resources. And he doesn't have a shipment available, although he has just sent Intervention. So it's maybe a little bit deceiving. But at the same time, you're still okay. Now this is like the crossroads as well, right, of the game. You're at this position where you have to decide what is going to be your follow-up, and your next two cards are going to be very influential in that. Coyote Combat coming now. Okay, like you probably don't have enough coyotes to really justify sending Coyote Combat. You only have 9. It would definitely be better off sending 5 villagers first, maybe even 4 villagers as well, or like 600 coin to like start getting your Puma Spearman count, assuming you're going to continue playing this in the second age, which I assume you will. You don't want the upgrade card to finish it. Like you want to be pushing off of the upgrade card. You don't want to like have it come and then just sit there. Like you'd be better off having the 5 villagers come first. But either way, like you're gonna want that at some point, but you'd probably just be better off having 5 vills first. Your economy, like you haven't been training vills here a lot as well. Your economy's starting to get a little bit out of whack. Definitely need some more villagers on wood at this point. This is also the point where you'd probably want to start thinking about at least transitioning your fire pit over to getting some warrior priests. I think I would have liked to see 5 vill, 3 warrior priests, or 3 warrior priests, 5 vill here instead of the Coyote Combat immediately. Certainly something other than the Coyote Combat early on here, because you just don't have enough coyotes to justify sending it. Something like either probably 3 warrior priest 5 vill would have been the right choice here at this point in the game, because you've put him under a lot of economic duress. Like he's only got 23 villagers. He's training standard army. Like things are dire straits for him. He doesn't have a lot of hunts available to him. If you just stood over here and denied this hunt and powered up your eco, and when he got to the point where he felt like he had to push out to like secure his next coin mine, which I mean he's only got 1,000 coin left, right? And then at some point he's going to have to push out to get one of these coin mines, and you were just able to deny that, would be really, really good. But sending Coyote Combat kind of slows that thought process down a little bit. Pushing back in here, you've got a pretty good army. Everything looks pretty good. Just want to make sure you don't get trapped. That's the easiest thing to have happen, is get trapped underneath his TC or something like that. Man, Intervention is just rolling you over right now, honestly, is all it is. And there comes the 11 Ching down. Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, and this was just like, that was just a fight you didn't need to really take. Like, you just kind of got trapped underneath his town center by like the Chengdao popping out, and that's been like a kind of common reoccurring thing. Like, you just tend to overstay your welcome a little bit too long and not have like the correct follow up. Like here, you have another shipment available. I mean, Coyote Combat has had 0 relevance at all because you've been primarily training Mace Holton. You could ship 600 gold and age up right now, or you could have had 600 gold sending and like already be on your way up to the 3rd age by now, but that's not happening. Do you lose from here just because like China's like maybe China? Second war hut, so this signals to me that like you want to continue containing him and continue training units. I still haven't made the transition to warrior priests. I don't think you should lose from here because his economy is like so in the gutter, but there's maybe like there's a world where China's obvious his scores ahead, like He's obviously in an okay spot. There come the 3 warrior priests, finally. They're probably a bit late. Looks like you're just going to mass up here and try again. If that was going to be your play, you should watch like some Garja replays, because he's got like really good builds for Aztec timing pushes, which I think would have like been really beneficial to you here. I think that's part of your problem, was just your build wasn't... okay, there's the transition to warrior priest. So like all this stuff that I said like 3 or 4 minutes ago is relevant, and you're noticing it now. So if you could realize that a little bit earlier on next time, and start to make these transitions a little bit earlier. Like I think you know the general idea. Oh, did you cancel warrior priest? No, you're just sending more vills. Okay, good. I think you know, like I can tell that you know like why you're doing this transition too, right? You realized that the push wasn't being super effective, and that you should be powering up your eco and getting, to that big scary number of 10 warrior priests. But you needed to have realized that a little bit earlier. And now you risk dying to this like counter push out, because you've lost so many units to his play, to overstaying your welcome. This is going to be tough. And this is just the point where China FF is going to be China FF, and like it's going to be a bit hard to hold. Like, and the bad thing here is, like, with all of this fighting that's going on as well, like, you're giving him more XP and giving him more shipments. See, he's got another shipment available as well. So unfortunately, his deck's actually not that good. He doesn't have iron flails in his deck. He doesn't have like 7 mortars, I guess. So he doesn't have, like, he's got a lot more upgrades and eco stuff than he really needs. And that may be your saving grace, because if he had like 4 iron flails or 14 Quang pikemen or a bunch of Chu canoe or something coming out right now, like you may find yourself struggling to keep up with his spam. But it looks like you got a little bit of a surround there. Looks gonna rebuild on the other side. This is complete overkill. Like that should be happening here. Like, you want to defend the resources that you're going to need to be defending next. He's just not got the greatest deck for China FF, fortunately. And it looks like you're still going to be okay as a result. You should fight this. You have quality combat and your war dance going. Like, there's no reason to be running away from that. It's an easy kill for you. And it looks like you've realized where he's been gathering resources here now too. That's good. I think at the end of the day, your eco is just going to be powering ahead enough, and you've got enough upgrades that you'll probably just eventually win here. Looks like you've got 5 warrior priests. You could be back to warrior priest dancing. And I think from here he's just out of shipments. Yeah, like he just doesn't have any shipments left. You've beat the onslaught of shipments, and if you can get China down to the point where they don't have any shipments left, and you can last that long, even if you're in age 2, then you probably just win by default. So I think that's how this is going to play out. Like, I don't see a situation where you can break the contain that you have now. You've got enough upgrades. Even though you may never get aged up, like, it doesn't really matter. You've controlled all of the hunt. You've controlled most of the gold mines. And now he's in a position where he just doesn't have enough stuff to push out. Ooh, look at all those pumas coming up. He does have a lot of stuff. Oh, maybe just the jam it all in there technique is going to be enough, though. Plus, war dance is really good. A lot of running around there that wasn't necessary, but you got in an okay spot. Oh, well. Those redcoats have been ruining your day for a long time now. Eventually, you're gonna that disciple is being so annoying. Be careful with your units. Alright, I think I can see how this is going to end. I think we're just going to have a point where, like, you just have enough stuff and you can just ram it into him. Just make a whole bunch of pikes and mace and ram it into him. Because we know he doesn't have shipments left. Damn, well, maybe this is, like, still actually kind of close. Like, I don't know. You still got, like, a huge economic lead. Should be sending your shipment. Like, you've got a shipment available. Just send 600 coin. You can send a wood upgrade, too. That'd be fine. He's just not going to have the eco to keep up with these kinds of trades, is what it's going to come down to. Like, your eco's, I mean, you're at 55 bills. That comes exotic hardwoods, that's fine. And he's just got map control. This game's over. Like, there's nothing he can do at this point. He's run out of steam. And it's the FFing player running out of steam is, without getting some sort of eco balanced behind it, is no bueno. Gonna result in a loss every time. I mean, at this point, it's all over but the weeping for him, right? Like, he's just stuck. Even though these fights aren't really that good for you, but it doesn't really matter because you're far enough ahead at this point that it doesn't really matter. It looks like that's where he resigns. So the main takeaways I have for this game, the first one is I want to wrap back to a point I made at the 9-minute mark where you said you felt like you had the game won at 9 minutes. That was absolutely not true. Don't get overconfident when you play against China, because China in Age 3 doesn't need a lot of villagers. They don't need a lot of structure. All they need is just a little bit of time. If you give them a little bit of time to establish a couple of shipments, you can find yourself losing in an awful big hurry. So don't get overconfident that, like, you felt like, oh, at 9 minutes I was winning the game. Like, I had 20 units standing near his TC, like, killing him, and all of his villagers were, you know, penned up in his TC, and he wasn't gathering, and I denied the barracks coming down, stuff like that. Like, nope, none of that matters. At that point, China is still perfectly okay. They play from that situation in almost every game they FF, so don't feel like just because you had him penned up a little bit, like you were ahead. That being said, from that point forward is where you really need the most work in your gameplay. So as I mentioned, at various points, you kind of overstage your welcome. There were a couple times where you were just like randomly sieging like the tower, and you were doing a lot of time just running around underneath this town center, trying to it looked like trying to keep him from being able to gather, but like I mentioned, China doesn't really need to gather. He's got the porcelain tower gathering, and on top of that, he's just waiting for a shipment. And then you kind of just got trapped by the intervention redcoats and lost all sorts of tempo. And when that happened, he was able to unbell his villagers, get back out, and your economy wasn't really that strong behind it as a result, because you had been sending kind of weird shipments. You hadn't sent 5 vills, you hadn't sent 3 warrior priests. And so the biggest thing I would say is, once you've gotten advantage, you've slowed him down, you've killed a village, you've denied him from being able to herd appropriately. You've denied him from being able to establish villages out on additional hunts. What you need to do is continue to control the map in a safe way that you're not losing units while getting your own economy ramping up behind that. And you didn't really do that super well. If we take a look at the villager graph, like, there were points where, I mean, here where you're just like not training villagers. Extended period of time, just not training villagers. You could have this like ticking way up, and you could be at like 55 or 60 villagers here at like the 13 or 14 minute mark and still have him, you know, completely penned up like this. You could be like 55 to 25 villagers and then just have an insurmountable economic advantage with 10 warrior priests kicking in the background, dancing away. And that's the point where you then send Coyote Combat and you crash everything in and you just overwhelm him. Here you just kind of like made a bunch of units and kind of like half-assed it into his town, lost it to town center fire, a unit shipment popping out. There was a point where like 11 Chang Dao popped out and just kind of trapped you, and you lost a whole bunch of mace for free. There was a point where, you know, just 10 mace streamed by intervention redcoats, just shooting them dead. You lost a lot of units for free, and I think we'll see that reflected in the military graph as well. Military unit population. Like there's a point here where you're at 45 military population. I believe this is where the 11 Chengdao popped out specifically, and you can see just how much damage you took. Early on, like I mentioned, gameplay was pretty good. You didn't lose too many units. You applied a lot of pressure to him, kept him in check, built up this nice advantage, but there was just points where you just kept taking these bad fights, like stuff like this, big spikes like this, going from 45 to 27 units for only a 7 villager or 11 swing is pretty significant. Now, because your economy was stronger and you had denied him early in the game, you were okay. Also, he didn't have the greatest deck. He wasn't able to really recover, but had he had more military units and you continued to flounder underneath his base like this, could have seen a situation where he was able to just get an overwhelming unit count and just smash you into the ground. Now, fortunately, that didn't happen. You were able to keep control of the map and eventually win the game. That's the important part. But the manner in which you get to that point could have been a lot cleaner. So what I would say in general is identify when, learn to identify a little bit better when you've accomplished what you can accomplish with your current set of units and your current strategy, and then figure out what your follow-up is going to be. Because I think you figured it out at some point, like, hey, I need to have a stronger economy. I need to, get my warrior priests going. I need to have my 5 village shipment coming. I need to get some more market upgrades. I need to be playing a little bit more economically because I've already kind of stunted his growth a little bit as the China player. But that came 3, 4, 5 minutes late. That could have come a lot earlier. And had it come a little bit earlier, I think you would have been able to really close this game out a lot more cleanly. Probably around the 13, 14 minute mark, which is a good contain type style game plan. Is that's about the time you should win against an FFing player, and that didn't happen. This game drew out to 26 minutes. Eventually, won kind of by default because you have war hunts up on his 3rd coin mine, stuff like that, right? He's just not able to hunt basically, which is somewhat his fault and somewhat to your credit as well. But if you can clean up those things, learn when to transition better, as well as just do the little things I mentioned earlier in the game, hurting your hunts, being more efficient with the way that you spend your resources. There was a point where you could have canceled a house and had a market up with hunting dogs and gotten out an extra 2 coyotes at the 6.5 minute mark. That's a pretty significant thing to have happen. That's a pretty big swing at 6.5 minutes to have 2 more units, an upgrade, and not be pop capped all at the same time, just by 100 wood being allocated in a slightly different way. So you can clean up those kinds of things by watching your own gameplay. Those are the easy things to pick up on. And then hopefully adjust your gameplay based on the comments that I've had here. I think you show a lot of promise. I don't think there's a lot holding you back from being pretty good at the game. So keep playing, keep working on identifying when your opponent has held your own pressure, and then figuring out what your long-term plan is going to be off of the back of that, because that's what it looked like. And to be fair, that's where a lot of PR 20 to 25 people really do struggle, is making that step of strategically identifying when they need to do something different, or what they need to do different and how they need to do it differently, and then identifying it at the correct time and executing it appropriately. So keep working on those things. Overall, not too bad of a gameplay though. A nice little win. Anytime you can beat a China FFing, that's a win in itself. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully it was helpful. And that's going to do it for Saturday SmackDown. Thanks for tuning in, guys. For those of you who stuck it out to the end, I know we did start a little bit early, and as a result, we still had a good 3.5 hour stream. So thanks for tuning in. I'll be back next week. There's going to be lots of tournament games tomorrow as well. Samwise12 versus Prince Kabul. I know that's what I'm looking forward to, and looking forward to that game as well. So tune into those. Tune into the ESOCTV channel. I think that's where all those games will be being played. Of course, SmackDown will always be on this channel, Age of Empires, the official channel. And hopefully we'll see you all next week.